Hi, I'm Denise Griffitts, and this is your partner in Success Radio. And today's conversation is, should you stay or should you go? Navigating the emotional crossroads of business ownership with Cynthia Kay. And here's the real question. What happens when the business you built no longer fits the life you want? Today, our sponsor is Jennifer Jensen. Jennifer is the founder and CEO of Authentic Leader, where she works with leaders and teams. She works with everybody. She works with me. I have to tell you, her mind is so brilliant that I just hang on for dear life. I feel like I'm going to spin off the world. But she works with leaders and teams to unlock potential, create meaningful change, and achieve sustainable results. And with more than 30 years of cross-industry experience and 5 Lumina Learning certifications, Jennifer brings both deep expertise and real-world insight to the work that she does every day. And her book, Developing Authentic Leaders, encourages readers to take an honest look at how they lead, how they are perceived by others, and how to turn that awareness into meaningful growth. And this is important. She is also developing Mirror. It's an AI-powered leadership coaching platform built around her authentic leader roadmap framework. It's going to launch very soon, and I will let our audience know when it's available. Jennifer, thank you for your support of your partner in Success Radio and the really important work that you're doing to help leaders grow with greater clarity and authenticity. I can say it. So connect with Jennifer on her website at authenticleader.ca. She's in Canada, or LinkedIn. Now back to one of my favorite guests. Today we're talking about one of the hardest questions business owners will ever face. Should you stay fully engaged in the business that you built, or is it time to step into something new? I'm having the same dilemma. And this is why I think this is such an important topic. So I'm excited to welcome back to the show my very dear friend. She's a sponsor of this show and someone I have great admiration for, Cynthia Kay. She's CK to those who know and love her. And she is the founder of Cynthia Kay and Company, an award-winning media production firm, and Cynthia Kay Biz, her communications consulting practice. Nearly 4 decades working with everyone from Fortune Global 100 companies to small business owners, she is one of the most passionate advocates for small business that I know. And today we're talking about her newest book, Should You Stay or Should You Go? Navigating the Emotional Crossroads of Business Ownership. It's out and it's already an Amazon Kindle bestseller. We were talking about this book not January, December, not that long ago, and it wasn't quite ready, but it is out. So Cynthia, welcome back. It's so good to have you.
Oh, Denise, thank you. And I just so love the conversations that we have because I think they're really rich and I hope beneficial to your listeners.
Oh, they are. People love the work that you do. And you mentioned something in the green room just now that when people, tell you, listen, I heard you and I read you, but when I read you, I can hear your voice. That is that's critical. That's so important.
Yeah, and I just love the ability to write, share, and to me the greatest compliment is when someone does listen to the recording and go, "Oh my gosh, that sounds just like you." Well, it is. But then when they read the book and they say, "I feel like you're in the room speaking with me." So it's been great fun. And this one honestly is a real labor of love because it's something that I lived for quite a long period of time while I was running my business and really struggling as a lot of business owners do. Do you know more than 86%, almost 90% of business owners have no formal written down business plan for succession? It's kind of in their head or they've kind of played with it. And so they're struggling. And I know I struggled with it, which is frankly how this book got started. I started keeping a journal. I started thinking about, is it time for me to leave? Do I need to go? No, I love what I do. But there's things I don't love. So it was kind of that back and forth struggle that really led to the 7 signs you should stay and the 7 signs you should go.
And those are important. You and I have talked about that before on the show, and the book is clear. We're going to talk about those, but I'm having the same dilemma. I started my business about 20 years ago. The podcast is 18 years old. And, I was arrogant. Aren't we all? I'm a business owner. I've done this. I did this all myself. I bootstrapped it. I was just so darn proud of myself. And then came COVID. And then comes AI. And those are two huge markers in how I'm able to do business now. And I have to pivot.
Yeah.
No question about it. I have to pivot. And that's a COVID word that I hated.
I know. I hate that word
I know.
too.
But
I
now I'm
hate that
going,
word.
okay, now I kind of get it. So,
Yeah. But I think I'm going to argue something that I believe COVID certainly was that period of time. I think the changes in the business world were happening anyway. I think what COVID did was it accelerated what was already happening. And that was, people doing more remotely, people, doing less face to face communication. Um, AI has been around for much longer than most people think. And yet I think it was just that explosion of it. But I think there's some things that people need to pay attention to. And I often think when I talk to people, they go, should you stay or should you go? And people think I'm pushing them to, think about leaving. There are a lot of options. You can stay doing what you are doing and remain relevant and vibrant and excited about what you do. I mean, that's one of the signs you should stay working. You have a passion for what you do, and you feel like every day you're excited about getting up and going to work. Well, don't let anyone tell you to retire. And certainly don't let anyone tell you to sell your business if you're not ready to do it. But there are some things that I like to call it's the scales that start to tip. Because there's things about every one of our jobs we don't love, right? But we still do them. But when the scales start to tip and those things start to become overwhelming, for example, you mentioned technology. All right, when technology is no longer your friend, I would argue that it is time to, retire. Because if you don't love it and you don't have a way of consistently staying up with technology, or at least have people on your team who can do that, you will be left behind. So thinking about what are the signs and when do you make those moves? Timing is critical.
and people, I think, in fact, I believe this, I think they know that, but they're just not ready to put it to paper and start saying, okay, what are the pros? What are the cons? What are the signs? It's scary. It's kind of like, I'm going to get a divorce. Oh God, I don't want to, that kind of thing.
Sure. And, I think that's one of the things that I started journaling, and then I'd put the journal away, and then I'd come back to it and I go, yep, that still bothers me,
Right.
and now it bothers me even more. But, but I think, that one of the things I did with the book was I outlined a lot of the signs, and then I have questions you need to ask yourself. And then at the end, I've actually got some worksheets that I developed, and literally they were scratch pads that I made that I was checking stuff off. Am I mildly annoyed? Am I highly annoyed?
Do
And
I hate the world?
do I hate the world? Would I just
Yeah.
like to kill somebody? No. I mean,
On
not
those days, don't drive.
one of
Seriously,
those days.
don't go anywhere.
But so I think what I've created here is kind of a way for you to really assess those signs, and then you take the worksheet and you check it off, and then you put it away and you go back to it maybe 3 months later or 6 months later, and you look at it and you see, okay, has it changed? Am I having more sleepless nights? Am I more annoyed with customers and with employees? Am I more passionate? And so when you start to look at it in that kind of, I'm going to call it safe framework of checking the boxes, you start to see I'm having a shift. It's time for me to think about doing something. And when you think about doing something, there are lots of options. It's not like there's one choice. There are many, many choices. In fact, you know this. My background as a broadcast journalist, when I write, and especially in all of my books, I don't just talk about my stories. I like to go out, and I've interviewed people from all over the country. And I've asked them hard questions, and I am honored that they were willing to be so honest and to share with me. One gentleman that I interviewed said he went and sold his company and never told his two sons who worked for the company. And then he shared with me the reasons why he did that path. But, when you hear other people's stories and you see the struggles they've gone through and you look at, okay, what were their tipping points? What were their options? And then some of their lessons learned. I mean, to me, that is fascinating. I learned so much in the process of writing this book. And frankly, I started writing it 5 years before I ever sold my business. I was collecting stories and talking to people and asking them to share with me their experience. I mean, I think that's how we learn. We learn by observing other people. And when they say, I didn't do this well, if I had to do it over again, this is what I would do. To me, that's the value of getting lots of perspectives on a topic like this.
And, you and I have talked about this before. We talked about it in December of last year, and I remember you telling me that you had started this process quite a while back. Did
Yeah.
you know you were going to write a book, or was it just you observing?
I did not know I was going to write the book. In fact, now I had written 3 other books on business, but it had not really bubbled up to the top. And as I say, it really started with me trying to journal and put down on paper. For me, and I think for a lot of people, if so much is in our head, right? We think about it, we're ruminating, we're obsessing. What I've discovered over the years, and I actually learned this from another business person, and he was talking about business systems and how important it is to get out of your head and onto paper the things that are going to help your team. Well, the same thing is true when you are struggling with decisions, is putting it down in paper and actually going back and looking at it. It's different than when it's in your head and then tomorrow it's gone.
Oh, it
And
doesn't take
so
until tomorrow. It's gone by 5.
there you
What are
go.
you talking about? It's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." Oh. What was
Yeah.
that again?
Yeah. But and so when I really started to consider writing the book, frankly, was when I started to talk to many of the other business owners that I knew who were struggling with the same thing. And every time I would talk to someone and I would say, I'm really struggling. What are you doing? And they go, I don't know. And that's when I started really in earnest to do a study of this and to really and everywhere I went, business owners were telling me this, and it didn't matter if it was a small operation, a 5-person or a 25-person or a 200-person. Everyone is starting to struggle with this. And right now, if you look at what is happening, McKinsey came out with a report between now and 2035, I think it's something like 6 million businesses will be turning over. They're calling it the silver tsunami. And the number of small businesses that are going to be sold is just unbelievable. And when you think about this and you think about the fact that people haven't given this any thought. Now, here's the good news. If you're someone that wants to own a business, wow, you're in a great place right now because a lot of people will be looking to sell. And quite frankly, it's always much easier in today's world to purchase an existing entity that is up and has a track record. I mean, startups are great, but startups are hard. So if you think about it, there's going to be a lot of turnover. And so I think this is a super important topic and one that we can't bury our heads in the sand. And a lot of business people do. They go, I'll deal with that tomorrow. And then what happens? Someone gets sick. They don't have a plan in place. They become, their industry changes. And what once was their most valuable asset, their business, is now losing value. they should have considered selling before. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are beyond our control. So if we can grasp some of those things that are within our control right now, wow, we're going to be so much better off. We get to decide. And business owners love to decide.
And doesn't what you're talking about, doesn't that require a bit of peering around corners? You can't just kind of stay stuck in your office. Not everything's good today. I'm not going to worry about it tomorrow. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But you have to be very aware of what the market is doing, what people really want from you, from your business. How are you helping them? Honestly, anytime somebody goes to a website or a podcast or a business, all they want to know is what's in it for them. So are you peeking around the corner to see, are you still serving them?
Mm-hmm.
And can you improve on it? Do you want to improve on it? Do you want to exit? And that leads me to, you lay out the 7 signs to go and the 7 signs to stay. Can we go through all of them? Do you have time to go through them and talk about that? Because, and I know this is true, when people hear 7 signs that it's time to go, some people are going to get very uncomfortable or defensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I understand that, because I will tell you, one of the other reasons I wrote this book was I have worked much longer than many of my peers. And so when people were retiring all around me, they kept saying, "Well, when are you going to retire? Aren't you sick of traveling? Aren't you tired of managing a staff? Isn't the pressure getting to you?" And frankly, I started to get annoyed, because what they were doing is projecting on me all the things they were feeling, and I'm
Right,
feeling
right.
that.
I have no
I was,
intentions of retiring ever.
yeah,
My
I was,
plan, this is my plan.
yeah,
I'm
I
going
was
to die at
happy.
100 years old in my sleep, plotting world domination.
Absolutely.
That's it.
And I love to say, I, I have such great examples of several people in my book who are never going to retire, but they figured out how to do it. They
Oh,
figured out how to own and run a company and still not be consumed by it. Their stories are great, but let me just share with you. So the 7 signs you should go, and I'll just give you a snippet. Where's
yeah,
the
we want people to read the book, so we're not going to read it out
yeah.
to you.
Well,
But
no, but I also love to share. If you don't have passion for your business, if the passion is gone, and I've got very specific things that show you why you're not passionate, then that's a sign to go. One of the one things that I started to notice, I call it, your thick skin is getting thinner. You start to be annoyed by things that never annoyed you before. And there are lots of things, both within your organization and externally. And so you just start to have that constant feeling of wanting to just snap at someone. Um, your list is getting longer. You start to procrastinate. I see this constantly. There's a project and people are not moving it forward. There's a new product development and they're letting it sit there. They can't decide. Change. I mean, change is a huge one. It's so fascinating to me. And this is not age related. I want to be very clear about this, because I love change. And I'm one of those baby boomers who shouldn't love it, but I love it. But when you stop wanting to accept change and adapt, and I've got some different kinds of change that are really critical, that's a key one. Sleepless nights. You're constantly worried. You can't sleep because you're consumed by the worry. Um, New work trends have you shaking your head. Things like people wanting to work from home or leaving early, or there's all kinds of new work trends that are out there right now. And you have to adapt to that, because the workforce is changing. And I've got some really good examples of younger people who are coming into the workforce and the things that they really appreciate. Technology is not your friend. We talked about that one. Those are the 7 signs.
well, you're talking to a nerd, so technology is my friend.
I
But
see. That's why you're good at what you do.
oh,
That's
I
one of the
love it.
reasons you want to stay.
It is. I just want to do things slightly different. I don't want to completely back out of everything that I've been doing. I want to upgrade
Mhm.
big time.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. Once I arrived at that, I went, oh,
Mhm.
now what can I do? Where can I make changes? Ooh, I like that one. That one, not so much. And I have these ongoing conversations like you. I have a list. It's like, that'll work. That'll work. What were you thinking on that one? It's just, yeah.
Mm.
And it happens, but you do, in my world, I have to write it down. And listen, I kill keyboards. I have to buy 2 of them a year
Oh my
because I'm
goodness.
on them all the time. I pound them to death. I lose keys, they just go, "Denise, I don't like you anymore. Put me in the garbage." But I say,
I
"Oh."
wear the numbers and the letters off the keys.
I do too. I do too. But I need to write things. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I read so much, but I have these composition notebooks everywhere. And I'm constantly picking them up at the end of the night going, "Okay, this one," and each one has a reason. It's very clear on the front of it what it's all about. And I'll go back and look through this because honestly, when I said you're gonna forget it by 5, I have forgotten it.
Mhm.
So when I do shut down for the night, it might be 8 o'clock, it might be 1 in the morning, it doesn't matter. I still have to go back and look at my thought processes and say, "Oh, that needs to make it into tomorrow. I need to explore this." What I'm hearing from you, honestly, is curiosity. You have
Yeah.
to keep your curiosity going.
Mhm. You know, it's my dad was a very wise man, and he always said, "They can't pay you enough money, honey, to do a job you don't love. No one can pay you enough money to do something you don't love. And when you don't love something, it seeps into everything that you do." In fact, that's the start of my 7 signs that you should stay is if you still love what you do, why would you leave? If you're still curious and excited about it, no one can tell you you should leave, and having said that, there are ways that you can stay at your job. I think part of the reason that I was able to continue to run my company for 39 years I ran it, is I built a great team. And when you have that great team, you have support. And when you have support, you can consistently do new things. You can go search out new products to make, or you have time to go volunteer or be on boards or do things that you love, but you have to have a team in place to do that. And that team doesn't have to be on your staff. That team can be an outsourced team. That can be people that are just, part of your supply network, but you have to have a team. It's critical today to do that. Um, so a couple of the other signs that you should stay is you're operating at peak performance. And by that, what I mean is, and you'll understand this, when you've done something for a very long period of time, you are so efficient. You can cut right through and you can do things that other people can't do with great speed. When I work with communications people, I can go in and assess communication issues very quickly because I've developed that. So if I'm operating at that performance level, why would I want to stop? Um, and then your entrepreneurial spirit is strong. I love what you are doing right now because you are looking at new ways of doing things. You're looking at new products that you're going to develop. You're writing your book, I will tell.
Yeah, we're both writing a
We're
book for
both
the
writing your
closers.
books. But
Right.
okay, but that means your entrepreneurial spirit is strong because you're doing new things
Oh, yeah,
or you're
absolutely.
doing the same thing in new and different ways.
Well, and what you just said is so important because that was the struggle I was having. And, like you also noted, once you do something so well, you can do it in your sleep. I got a little bored.
Mhm.
Really did.
Yeah.
So I decided that I needed to find more passion for the work I was doing. Obvious, I had to move in not different directions, but how I do things. I don't
Mhm.
wanna give up my businesses. I love both of them. And I'll be honest with you, I love my podcast more than I love building websites. And I build websites in my sleep. I speak HTML.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
the
That's that
podcast gives me people like you, so
but
what's not
that's the
love?
thing. It feeds your soul.
It
That's
does.
we all have to do things that maybe we don't love. But when we have the ability to do those new things, I mean, I've created a whole new program about how to be a better how to amp up your virtual presence, how to be better and I had so much fun doing that. Have a new client that I went and worked with and worked with a marketing team. I mean, those are the things that feed your spirit. Um, having also said that, one of the reasons that people stay working is because they need the money. For many people, perhaps they're caring for elderly parents, perhaps they still have children that they are putting through school or supporting, or perhaps they've had an incident within their business and they now have debt. So if you need the money, that's another reason that you need to keep working. But you also then, I've got some suggestions for what you need to do to get on that path so that you get to the place where you are financially independent and can choose to work not because you need the money, but because you love the work.
Right, and I think what I just wrote down while you were saying that was attitude adjustment. Yes, you have to work. For me, I don't have children, I have cats. I eat from Walmart, they eat from Chewy's. There's a it's not fair, but they're expensive. Pets are expensive, vets and, everything else, but gotta love them. But here's the thing, once I decided that what I was doing was really not cha here's the word I was looking for, challenging me. I haven't been
Mhm.
challenged in a long time, and that was starting to really weigh me down, and I was getting crankier by the minute.
Yeah.
That's never a good thing. But once I got curious and I started looking around saying, "Okay, I need to go ahead and change how I operate this business. I need, AI. I need different technology. I need a better attitude." So, really, what I'm trying to say here is I needed an attitude adjustment big time. So, I sat
Mhm.
down with myself and I was reading you and talking with you and going, there it is. I don't need to stop what I'm doing. I need to just rework it to where I'm back in love with it. And I'm
Mhm.
serving my clients and my audience the way they need to be served.
Yeah, I mean, you're not emotionally ready, nor am I emotionally ready to not work.
Right.
We love what we do. So we have to find a way to continue to do what we love to do. And I also talk about it in terms of people need to have a legacy. People we and that legacy can be um, the information that you share. It can be a new product that you create. A legacy can be doing something where you have set up a scholarship for someone. One of the organizations that I just dearly love is the Lowe Foundation, and the reason I love it is the gentleman who established the foundation was Edward Lowe, and he was the inventor of, you're going to love this, Denise, kitty litter.
Ah,
Oh, I know your
did I
cats
mention I have
appreciate that.
cats? Yeah, they
There
do.
you go.
I do. Please don't
Yeah,
poop on the floor. Go in the
please
bathroom.
don't poop on the floor. So
Yeah.
he invented a whole industry. But when he was starting his business, he didn't have other people. He didn't have peers to talk to. He didn't have colleagues that he could share things with. So he started this foundation, and literally his whole goal was to help entrepreneurs in second stage be able to define their legacy and grow their businesses and give back. That's his legacy. To me, when you think about that, I think we all want to have a legacy. And he left $100 million, and there's a beautiful foundation that helps entrepreneurs all over the country. Okay, you and I are not going to do that, but we have a legacy. My legacy, quite frankly, is I hope that through the things that I write and through the trainings that I do, that I'm sharing what I have learned, what I've experienced, so that I can lift somebody else up. That's my legacy. I don't care if it's one person or 10 businesses or 100 businesses, it's all important. So to me, That's my legacy. The writing, the speaking, the helping. Your legacy is amazing because look at what you do by giving a platform to people who wouldn't have a platform, by being able to share knowledge, not just yours, but lots of people's. That's a huge legacy.
And I finally discovered that, again, talking with you. I mean, you're in my head a lot of the time, just so you
I'm
know.
so sorry.
It's healthy, it's okay. But but, for the longest kind of time, I didn't consider that I had a legacy. I didn't really give a flip if I wanted one. I didn't know. And then I started getting a lot of feedback, and I still get tremendously wonderful feedback about this podcast and my guests. I went, "There's my legacy right there."
That's it.
Mhm.
And everyone's legacy is different. But I think sometimes if you haven't defined that legacy, leaving your business can make you feel like you have unfinished business, that you didn't, you know, I am completely at peace having left the media production piece of what I did aside. I am 6 months into this, I call it, it's not really a reinvention, but it's a reinvigoration of my communications consulting piece. But I took the steps before I left to make sure that I didn't get, quite frankly, depressed, as I see lots of business owners when they don't have a place to go to, when they no longer have that business or their name's not on the door. There's a loss because you built it, you grew it, you cared for it. And now who are you, right? And so I address some of those topics, and I think it's important for people to think about what is it that you want to do. And what I love is I love the stories at the end of my book. I have a couple that they sold their business, walked away. They're sitting on a beach and eating bonbons. Don't
You
ask them to
totally I know.
don't ask
Isn't
them to volunteer or
but
do
isn't that your
anything.
family? Isn't that your sister?
That actually is my sister and my
Right.
brother-in-law who ran an amazing business in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was purchased by a private equity firm, and that firm is gangbusters in what they are doing now. It's called Curated Events. And spoiler alert, I'm already on to my next book. And in my next book, one of the high performing individuals from that company is featured because I think it's so interesting. Not the stay or go question isn't just for business owners. It's also for individuals who are executives who treat a business like it's their own, for, managers who care about businesses, who are intrapreneurs, not entrepreneurs.
Right.
So I've actually, the stories in this book are all business owners and the choices that they made, and they're wonderful. Stay, reinvent yourself, or go sit on the beach and eat bonbons. Do what you want, right? The world's your oyster. But, I think you have to think about those choices and be sure they're right for you.
You really do, and tell us about your new book because 'cause we've been talking about that. We were in the green room talking about
Yeah. So this was not my idea. I will give credit where credit was due. Because when this book launched, the for business owners, I had several high performing individuals that said, I'm struggling with the same thing. And so I have written a book which goes to the publisher hopefully this week. It's called Career Crossroads: How to Answer the Hardest Question You'll Ever Ask Yourself: Stay or Go. And in this book, I talk about the signs from the perspective of those who maybe don't own the business, but who have been deeply committed to their careers. And I've got some fascinating people that I have interviewed, executives who worked at General Electric and Walmart and curated events and Bradford White and large companies and small companies. And some of them talk about, okay, I went up the ladder at this company and then I hit a place where I couldn't go any further and I jumped to another company. And so I talk about, it's different with if you don't own the business, but you also have to make choices. Do you stay with a company? Do you make a career at that place? Do you go somewhere else? Do you change industries completely? I have people who have completely changed the industry that they worked for. Or maybe do you just retire? And so I'm really excited about that book because I do feel like we are all struggling with how to be the best version of ourselves. And to do that, we have to be in the right place. And we work for many years of our lives. We're all working longer. So we need to make the most of it.
And one thing about people like you, people like me, we don't work, you know, the standard 8 hours a day. That
No.
means nothing to us. And we work, I work whenever I want, basically, which is all the time, Monday through Sunday, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's not unusual. As you know, and as, our sponsor knows, you can get emails from me at 3:30 in the morning. I'm not going to text you, but you're going to see those emails. But we work the way we do because we're so passionate and we don't know how to shut it down. We don't know that we maybe should take some rest, but we're working because we're so passionate. We're so curious. We want the best for everybody around us. That doesn't shut down.
No. And it's interesting because one of the things that I will tell you is in designing my new life, which I'm doing many of the things that I did while I was still with a media company, but is the flexibility that I now have because I'm not managing a staff. And it's so interesting because I know if at 3 a.m. I want to get up and work, I do because I don't have to get up and go to the office, right? I can be more flexible in when I work and how I work. And I've just found that to be really so rewarding. I was a little afraid of it, quite frankly. But because I'm working out of a home office now, I'm not going to the office. But I travel a lot, but I'm finding that I've gotten into a groove and I love it. I love the think time that I now have.
Oh, exactly. I'm like you. My commute is about a minute if I don't trip on a cat. I can make it to the kitchen.
Well, mine's about 30 seconds now.
Well, I have to stop. I have to watch my feet. I've got a 20-year-old tiny tuxedo and she's frail right now. And her
Oh.
favorite thing is to trip me. So I'm looking down a lot. But it's interesting. I could not work in somebody's office. And I've always known this. I'm a highly committed introvert. I don't play well with others. I run with scissors. And if you want coffee, you can get it your own damn self. I'm not going to do it. So I have to be at home alone. But like you, I mean, I may wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Some of my best gumbo happens at 3 in the morning. I've got that pot on the stove.
I've
But
heard about that gumbo recipe. I'm waiting for
oh,
it.
it's so good. I won't eat in restaurants. Mine's better. But that's creative time. When I'm in the kitchen, when I'm standing over a stove, literally, and I do think in HTML, I'm not joking, I can map out an entire website while I'm stirring the roux.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just how my brain works. So when you want to work, when you need to work, when your brain goes, "Oh, wake up, this is important. Pay
Yeah.
attention to it. Don't just, I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to have tomorrow. Do it now."
Well, and I'm also very fortunate because I am still traveling. I love to be with people. I know, unlike you, I'm not an introvert. I am valuing my time alone now, but I
Oh, I
love
bet.
getting out and working with people and training and speaking. I get juice from that. So for me, being able to create those opportunities to get in a room with people and speak to groups is important, but I am also valuing that alone time more than I thought I would.
Well, and it is different because, what you're talking about when people are, they're working for somebody else or they're just very invested in whatever it was that they were doing for whatever company for themselves. There is a time where they kind of have a grief span, I think. It's like things have changed. I don't have to, put on a bra and go outside. You know? It's just interesting, but I think there's a bit of grief that people go through, like, what's happening now? What am I doing? Did I waste time? What am I going to do?
Do you
I've
know there's
seen it.
actually yeah, so do you know there's actually a thing called leisure sickness? It is
No.
a there is a I write about it, and it is what happens when people who have too much leisure and they are go, go, go people, and they don't know how to deal with quiet and downtime, and they literally become ill.
Oh,
I
no.
know people who get ill when they go on vacation.
That would be
That
me. I hate traveling, so I will absolutely make myself sick. Hate
Yeah,
it.
well, it's a thing, leisure sickness.
I have never heard of that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm
The
gonna have to
things
go
you
look at that.
learn.
I'm telling you, and I'm going to have to go look that up. I don't I like to read. That's my thing. I will read the back of a cereal box, and that's why I really love, and I don't eat cereal. I don't even own cereal, but if it's in front of me and there's nothing else, I'll read the ingredients. But I've got thousands of books in here. Yours are in here, and I've read every single one of them, and I'm so appreciative of the people who trust me with their books. But honestly, I don't like to sleep. It's
Mm.
never been a strong skill for me. I don't enjoy it at all. I only need 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep a night and not all in a row. And my mother used to insist that the reason I would not sleep was because it cut into my reading time, and I believe her. So, I know where I'm
Oh,
supposed to
wow.
be, on the couch with an iPad reading a book. So, but it's funny. So what is your next book about? I mean, you talked about it a little bit. When can we expect it?
Well, I am hoping that we are going to release this summer, and that one, Career Crossroads, how to answer the hardest question you'll ever ask yourself, stay or go. But I'm also, thanks to you, working on a book that will be part of the Closers series. And this one I am so excited about because it's my passion. It's about communication. And the title for that one is Connect, Communicate, Close Appropriately. The Secrets to Selling with Confidence. And I am having just so much fun pouring stories about people that I've worked with and selling situations and communication. And so I'm excited about that one, and I'm pushing myself to get that one done. I would love to have that one out by fall.
And I can't wait to read it. And for those of you who are wondering what The Closers is, this is a series. There's 2 books that Ben Gay III wrote called The Closers. They're very famous in the sales industry. Frankly, they're known as sales Bibles. And Ben Gay was the final mentee of Dr. Napoleon Hill. So he has decades of wisdom, and he's just known as the sales guy. Everybody knows him. And he told me I have a Wednesday podcast with him called The Closers, Inner Circle Podcast. And I have to tell this story because I'm still shocked by it. But he said at the end of the show, he said, "Well, Denise, you're going to write a book." I said, "Ben, I know." And I started whining instantly. I said, "Ben, I know. I've been trying to write this book for a long time. What I've got is an epic blank page." And he said, "Denise," I went, "What?" Because he doesn't use that tone with me. "You're going to write a book?" And I said, "Okay." That was the end of that. And then I called him. I said, "What are you telling me? I'm going to write a book." So I'm writing part 4, and it's about podcasting as marketing and sales. So look for us. We're going to be big deals on the
Well, and
close.
Denise, here's what, and first of all, I so appreciate that you introduced me to Ben. And I just am so appreciative of that. But what that says to me is the value of getting to know people and the value of building a good network of people. It's not about numbers. It's really about connections. And you and I connected so quickly. It was so fun to be able to have a conversation with someone where it was just easy and it was fun. And I learned so much every time you and I talk. So I'm excited that we're both working on this, and I can't wait to see what we do.
I am too. And I have to tell our audience, when I decided that it was time to have sponsors on my show, I had resisted that forever. You were my first person I contacted, and you said, "Yep." I went, "What?" You know,
Yeah,
I did I
because
didn't
yeah.
know.
Well, and part of the reason for that is I think there's a lot of people out there who call themselves podcasters, and I think they're wannabes. And trust me, I have been on some of those podcasts, and they don't do their homework. And what I so appreciated was the time and the attention that you give to every single author, and that is not very common. So I wanted to support your work, and we'll continue to do that.
And I thank you. And listen, I get so many people say, "You read the book." Well, you wrote it. You shipped it to me. Of course I read it. I'm always stunned, and I wanna pinch podcasters' head that got the book and didn't open it. I just wanna pinch their little heads.
hmm Yeah. Well, I can't wait to read your book when it comes out because I think maybe we should send it to all of those podcasters.
I'm going to.
No, make them buy it.
Well, a lot of people are going to get those books as my book as my gift. And I think you and I had talked about how we were going to at some point have a podcast, not
Yeah,
really a podcast. Yeah, we're going to do a launch party.
I think we should.
I do
I think we should.
too. I
Yeah,
do too.
absolutely.
Well, and you talked about emotional readiness being essential. I if we've talked about anything today, I think that's probably what I think is the most important because you can't just keep on going when you're worn out. You're no longer curious. You're no longer your creativity is in the tank.
Mhm.
But once you decide, can I stay? Can I look around the corners? Can I move things around? Or is it really time for me to go? And that's all emotional. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, there are steps you can take. You can write it down. You can keep a journal. You can talk with other people, as you should, who are looking down that same road with you. But when it comes down to it, it's emotional. So you need to be prepared for that.
And one of the things that I will say that is very different about both this book and the one that I'm releasing for other professionals, this is not to tell you how to plan an exit. This is not about, this really is about the emotion that comes with it. And as business people, we are often told to take the emotion out of what we do. I would argue
That's not
this
logical.
is and this is one decision where emotion, you have to pay attention to it.
I agree. Yeah, I really, and your instincts too. Pay attention to those. For someone who is listening to us right now, and by the way, when that new book is out, you're coming back, right?
I will come back.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You know, you can't tell me no. I said it on the radio. Okay, so, and I know you'll come back. So for someone listening right now who feels stuck and they're listening going, yep, and they're checking it down, ooh, that one too, but they can't quite name why. Is there a first question you would want them to ask themselves?
A first question. Oh, are you doing more of what makes you happy, or are you doing what you think you should be doing? I think a lot of people are doing things because they think they should do it. And I think we have to get rid of the shoulds. I think we have to do the things that make us happy because when we are happy, and I'm not talking about woohoo crazy, but I'm
Yeah, I
talking
just had a
about,
whiskey. I'm good.
yeah, no, I'm talking about doing the things that make you feel like you have purpose.
And it
If you have,
feeds you. You said
and
this
it
earlier, it
feeds
feeds
you.
your soul.
Yeah. Maybe the better question is, do you still have purpose? I think
Mm,
maybe that's the question. Because if you don't have purpose where you are, it's time to do something different. I think
it
that's the
is.
question.
And I'm writing that down. What is your purpose? Okay, and I've written that down a couple of times. After everything we've talked about today and what you explore in this book and the next one coming up, is there any particular thing that you want business owners to walk away understanding when they're facing that decision? Stay, shift, or go? Is there anything you can say, hey, that you haven't already said, but maybe, just kind of condense it down for us?
Well, I think the one thing is to really pay attention to what you're seeing around you, because often we're not aware of it, but our family, our friends, our business colleagues, they're seeing things. And if people start to question you, pay attention to that because they might be seeing something that you don't see, and be open to hearing what they may not be correct, but be open to listening to the people who really care about you because they're asking questions for a reason.
And I'm guessing one of those questions is, "Hey, you seem a little off. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
could cover all kinds of things.
You
"Well,
seem a
my
little
grandpa
stressed.
died." "Yeah," or, "I hate my house. It's leaking." It could be anything,
Yeah.
but maybe you haven't tackled it yet.
Yeah. And be prepared to really think about those emotions. Because if you do that and you let that guide you, I don't think you'll be sorry. We're all used to making great business decisions. We need to start to pay attention a little bit more to the emotion.
Well, and this is something that has always bothered me, and I agree with you. People say, well, there's work-life balance. No, there's not.
No, there's not.
It's all one thing. You're living in one body. What are you gonna cut in half? It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. I think that is a really people, that's a real common thing that people talk about. Sometimes you work like the devil, and sometimes you shut it off and go on vacation. And there are years when you're working like the devil all year because that's what you have to do. And then there are times. So it's not a perfect balance. And no one really finds, I think, that perfect balance. But you find the balance that's right for you. And maybe that's working more because you love that. For someone
Mm,
else, the balance
right,
might need to be more on the relaxation side. Don't
right.
let anybody tell you what work-life balance is. It's what balance feels right to you.
And your rhythms. Look, I will work at the oddest hours. Early. People say, well, are you, early morning person or night person? Both.
Yeah.
Because I really don't sleep much. But I have found through paying close attention that around noonish, my time, I'm central, I'm tired. I can't focus on code. I wanna bite the cat's tail. I'm tired. So I will shut down. I may go outside and, work in the yard a little bit. I may go read something. And about 2 o'clock, I'm like, "Woohoo," and I'm back.
Yeah.
And then I'll shut down again later around 5 or 6, and then about 9, I'm back. I watch my own rhythms. Because if
Oh,
I am not in my own flow, I'm not going to produce anything worth a darn.
well, and I think it's important that you give yourself permission to do what you need to do. And often we don't do that. I can tell you, I would get off of airplanes, at 11 o'clock at night and be back at the airport at 5:30 in the morning to go back to somewhere else. And I am at a place now where I'm giving myself permission to not take that early morning flight out anymore. I'm building in some time so that I can be better at what I do. And so I think, there and as you go through your life, it changes. And
Oh,
this is
yeah.
where I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
you have to accept the fact that some of the things you love to do, you might not love to do anymore. That's okay. Go find new things you love to do.
Well, it's a great time to explore.
Absolutely.
What have you been avoiding? Or as my business coach, what are you tolerating? Once you start looking at that, you're like, "Oh, I can go maybe a little something different, might be a big something different, but go have other experiences."
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's been so fun for me is and I will say, you worry, but I really didn't have a day. I walked out the door and that next day I was back doing work for my communications company. For me, that's what I needed to do and I love it. And now I'm like, I can work for a very, very, very long time. Like several of the other people in my book who say they're going to be carried out with their shoes on.
Right?
You know? So
That's me. Well, I'll be in bed, so you'll have to, grab me up and put me in the tomato garden, but
there
still,
you go.
I have plans. Well, listen, this has been wonderful. I always love chatting with you. And before I let you go, where can people connect with you? Where can they find your books? How can they work with you?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. But the books are on Amazon. You can, Google Cynthia K. Should you stay or should you go? If people want to know more about me, Cynthia, KAYBIZ.com is the website. But connect with me. And I love hearing from people. Even if you have a question or you just want to chat, I've got more time to do that now, so I'm happy to do that. And certainly if people are interested in communications training or someone to speak to an organization, I would love to do that.
Excellent. Well, listen, everybody. Today we talked about the 7 signs to stay and the 7 signs to go, and why emotional readiness is often the piece people skip when they're making those decisions about business. So if this conversation stayed with you, Cynthia's question for you is simple. Are you being honest with yourself about where you are right now? Grab her books, all of them. I have them. I'm waiting breathlessly for the new one to come out. Make sure you go connect with her. She's a fascinating person, and I've said it earlier, she's someone I have high respect for. I am Denise Griffitts. Thank you for listening, and I will see you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Cynthia, thank you.
Thank you so much, Denise, and have a wonderful day.
You too.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.